Um, I've been pretty fortunate in a lot of ways that I'm not scared for my life if a cop pulls me over. Now, you talk to a lot of black men around, especially men, and they would tell you that they would be scared about what might happen. You talk to a lot of black men and they have been pulled over way more than anybody else for nothing. I've been fortunate that that's not been my story. That's not been my case. But a lot for us is a lot of the hidden things, I think. Like I can remember riding on the bus and people telling racist jokes, and I'm sitting there like, 2 seats in front of them, and people that I kind of would have called friends. And I think at that point they're probably just doing it to try to be funny because they think other people will laugh. But it's just one of those things where at that point you could really see some of the racism that, I don't know if people grew up with it or they learned it from TV or other friends. You could kind of see that coming out in people, and just the idea that you were different and sometimes treated differently by people because of race, because we had the same background growing up, same community, same parents would have made the same amount of money. It was really just because of race. I think a lot of black people don't always share their experiences because I don't know if we've been trained just to keep silent, or a lot of us just don't want to ruffle feathers. And I think sometimes when people do ruffle feathers, they're seen, like I know for a lot of black women, you're seen as the angry black woman. If I think somebody's treating me unfairly and I get mad at them, instead of just being seen as they treated me unfairly and I as a person was mad, I'm kind of portrayed as the angry black woman because I think somebody was treating me unfairly.
Like, how, as Christians, like what would you like the church to know about this?
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes I think the church needs to know that, yeah, God has made us all in his image, all of us, every single one of us. So every human that's out there is made in God's image. And I think, we're hearing a lot about the Black Lives Matter and then people saying all lives matter. And we know that all lives matter. But the Bible talks a whole lot about, even when Jesus gives the Sermon on the Mount, he's talking about blessed are the meek, the lowly. Jesus, his whole time basically is trying to hang out with the outcast, the left out, and the people who aren't, the most popular in society, the richest, the most powerful in society. And I think the Bible talks a whole lot about if we are Christians, we're going to love the least of these. And I think that should speak volumes to us as believers, that God created us all equals, but we're not being all treated as equals here on earth. And in the Bible, it says, if somebody's not being treated as equal, those are the people that you need to help. And, when they talk about the body of Christ in the Bible, it talks about if a part of your body is not functioning well, the whole body isn't going to function well. So you should make sure that everything is up to par, and you should cater to that body part that's not functioning well, because we need everybody to be able to be up on the same level. So when people talk about Black Lives Matter, it's not saying that no other life matters. It's saying that we all matter. But right now, we're seeing a lot of racism towards Black people, and in Canada, a lot towards our Native community, a lot. And so we need to step up our game to make sure that those people who are the outcast right now, the down and out, those who are not being treated fairly, are being treated fairly.
Yeah, this whole idea of all lives matter. Of course, they all matter. That's the whole point. But I read one thing online here this past week, and it was I think Luke 15, the lost sheep. And did the other sheep not matter? Well, yeah, they did matter, but they were safely in the fold, kind of thing. And then the shepherd went out to look for the one who was lost, who was in trouble, and so he cares that much. Well, did the other sheep matter? Yes, they did. And I think, yeah, I appreciate that. As a church, we need to grasp that. Yeah, this is an issue, and it's not now about us whether I matter. Well, never mind. But there are hurting brothers and sisters, and Jesus cares deeply. What can people do practically?
That's a hard question, because I mean, if there's demonstrations and you're feeling comfortable enough to, and I don't mean comfortable as in about this issue, but with the COVID-19 going on, I know some of us aren't as comfortable stepping out of our homes, but those types of demonstrations they speak volumes. If they're peaceful, they speak volumes. And I think most of them in Canada, at least I know in Nova Scotia, they've all been quite peaceful. You know, sometimes, and for some of us, I think, I mean, just, Sweis, you had mentioned this before, but just reaching out to your friends who are Black, and I will put our Indigenous community in there too, to see how they're doing, especially right now. I know for myself, it's always been something that we've had to carry, but right now, since it's exploded in the media, it's probably been 100 times harder for us to go through mentally, and to try to get through things, because now it's really blown up everywhere. And so I know for myself, it's been something that has always weighed on me, but right now it's weighing a lot more heavily. So if you know people, just to say, how are you doing? And to be able to listen instead of try to always say your opinion. I know for a lot of us, we really just want to get our opinion said, because we don't always agree. We don't always understand what the other person is thinking. Even if we want to support them, we don't always get it because we've not lived in their shoes. So I think a lot of the time it's being able to listen to people. It's not super quickly coming back to say things like, well, all lives matter, because we know that they do. Every Black person knows that all lives matter, trust me. But I think those are some of the really practical things. I know some people, if you're on Facebook, some people have been sharing how you can support financially if you want to do that. Some of the Black initiatives, some of the just civil rights initiatives. So it's just that as well, and businesses that are owned by Black people being conscious. It's really nice to see the church in a lot of ways stepping up, because sometimes I think because of the day and age that we live in, we really don't want to be seen as taking a side politically often. And I think for a lot of people, this seems like a political issue, but it's not. It's not at all. It's a life issue, but if we want to look at it more so, it's a religious issue, as you've already pointed out, right? It's God saying this isn't right. We need to, this needs to be fixed. But I think when a few people reached out to me, I kind of felt like, okay, people see me, and it's nice just to have your voice heard sometimes.
Again, thank you, of course, Melissa. She's pastor at Good Shepherd Church in Lawrencetown Beach, Nova Scotia. Her and her family have actually been at Emmanuel Church several years ago, and they led the whole service from the preaching and the singing, and that was the day the whole sound system went south. Anyway, thank you for your friendship.